Hey guys, what's up? We're back with some more Heroes of the Storm action, and I haven't made a video in this in a very long time. Let's get into it. So, we're going to be talking about your boy Abathur. So, Abathur has received quite a lot of changes actually, as I give everyone a bit of motion sickness because I can't figure out how to move my camera properly. Anyway, generally speaking, it seems to be an overall nerf to the Locusts and an overall buff to Symbiote and Monstrosity. So let's just get into it. It's interesting that they've actually gone this route since the most recent changes to Abathur, before these changes of course, were like kind of nerfs to his healing, nerfs to his shield, and now they seem to have made his healing and his shield better, per se. Anyway, let's just get into it. Right, so first off, we've got some baseline changes. The first one, of course, is his carapace. So now, if we read here, the carapace now has a 6... Oh, there goes that idea. Alright, there we go. Let's do this. Okay, so if we have a look here, the carapace now has a 6-second cooldown as opposed to a 12-second cooldown. This is a pretty big deal, because now you still get pretty much similar value from dropping a carapace and then not jumping out and back in with Symbiote, which is what you kind of do sometimes when you're playing Abathur at this present moment. Now you don't necessarily have to do that. This is pretty good. The duration has been reduced to 6 seconds, so the idea is when your carapace expires, provided it doesn't get broken of course, you can drop another carapace. Easy. Easy. The shield also persists after Symbiote decides to disappear. So for example, we can drop it, jump out, and then move on. That does mean that for 2 seconds, it is entirely possible to have 2 carapaces, although I think it takes a little bit more than 2 seconds to get that carapace to get that Symbiote rather to actually work. So let's just get the hell out of here. Alrighty. There's another thing, which is that the carapace heals allied heroes. Yeah, the carapace heals allied heroes. So, because your monstrosity isn't a hero, it doesn't actually heal the monstrosity. This is a big deal, okay? The carapace does not heal monstrosity. Carapace also doesn't heal minions, but it will heal heroes. So, the carapace is probably pretty good. It heals at, 52 health a second. Not bad. Obviously not solo support levels yet, but it's alright. And that's baseline, so you can do that right from level 1. Great, awesome, cool. Let's move on. Now, Locust Strain, that is of course the Locust. The big nerf is from 25-second duration to 16-second duration. So let's have a look at that right there. The cooldown is 15 seconds, so you will have 1 whole second where you will not have a Locust on the field. That means that without Locust nests and without spawned Locusts, it is impossible to have multiple Locusts out on the field at the same time. I don't know, I feel like that's a pretty big nerf. To compensate for that though, the damage has been increased to 40. So if we crack open the calculator, 25 seconds times 34 is 850 damage overall. 40 times 16 is 640 damage overall. So this is ultimately a nerf to... Get out of my game, Asmodan. That is an overall nerf to the symbiotes. Not the symbiotes, sorry. The locusts. So yeah, Siege has been nerfed for Abathur. And finally, your big boy evolved monstrosity no longer takes 50% reduced damage from non-heroic targets, or non-heroic enemies rather, but now at level 10. So let us just reset the talents, and we'll just grab a bunch of talents and then monstrosity. Toggle that cooldown. Monstrosity now at level 10 can burrow to anywhere that it can see. Now, keep in mind that I still have toggle cooldowns on, which is why you see a giant line of locusts, but that's a lie. Oops. Okie dokie. Now, let's have a look at the talents. So at level 1, regenerative micros, which was of course the shield healing, is no longer a thing for obvious reasons. Survival instincts no longer increases locust duration for seemingly obvious reasons. Instead, it just increases the locust attack damage by 40%. So let us crack open the calculator again. The new damage, the old damage was 860, wasn't it? So the new damage will be 16 times 40 times 1.4. because it increases the damage by 40%. You multiply everything by 1.4. So now that is in fact a net bonus. That is a net buff if you use Survival Instincts. So if you've always been using Survival Instincts, good for you. You are going to have a bit more of a better time with your locusts. Oh boy. Okay, now because of I'm assuming because of the monstrosity change where he now can burrow wherever the hell he wants, Ballista Spheres, which is the infinite range mines, is no longer a thing. I'm assuming this is the reason, okay? Sustained Carapace, for obvious reasons, doesn't exist anymore because that's also part of the talent now, basically, sort of, yeah, essentially. Needle Spine, on the other hand, has been moved from level 7 to level 4. This is a pretty big deal, which I will get into in a second, but if you don't have any heroes in your team, any allies who would benefit from attack speed, you can now help them by giving more stab damage. Great! So, Abathur is now usable in just about every situation in the game, with just about every team in, well, not every situation, but just at least with every team in the game. Fantastic. Alrighty. At level 7, the one change is Mule, which is simply that it heals 10% less health. It's surprising that it still exists, so let's move on. Monstrosity I've already talked about, that's level 10. And level 13, the Assault Strain, which is the one that causes locusts to explode upon death, that no longer exists for reasons, I'm not entirely sure why. Instead, Bombard Strain has been promoted to increase the duration of a locust, by 50%. This is actually still a net loss, okay? Because Locust used to have 25 seconds duration, now it's 16 seconds duration. With that extra 50% duration, you only go up to 24 seconds. So it's a small net loss, but it is by definition a net loss nevertheless. Okay, at level 16, the big change is to Volatile Mutation. Volatile Mutation now causes anyone to get hit by the Volatile Mutation, specifically enemy heroes hit by that Volatile Mutation, to heal the host of the Volatile Mutation by 50% of the damage dealt. Keep in mind that this is only effective against heroes. It doesn't actually work against something like, say, a minion wave, which means the strategy of fighting, almost dying, and then jumping into a minion wave in order to heal, as you probably would have when you were playing Rework back in the ye old days when Rework was king of the dead. That is no longer that is not a thing that you can do with this upgraded talent. So it's a bit of a big deal. On the flip side though, if you use it on, say, an Illidan who is diving into a team, that's actually going to increase his survivability by a pretty decent amount, and that's probably going to increase your healing overall by a pretty decent amount. So yeah, like, there's two ways of thinking about it. If you're going to use Monstrosity, it's probably useless. And you're kind of boned on the healing factor for your Monstrosity as well, since your Carapace will not heal your Monstrosity for you. That's a bit of a bad luck there. You're going to have to rely on an actual healer, which is also a bad idea, since, you know, healers probably should be healing the team, like real talk. Otherwise, you have to rely on something like Soma Transference at level 13 if you want to actually heal your Monstrosity. Alright. Evolutionary Link at level 20 has been buffed, so that not only do you get a shield, your ultimate evolution, that is your clone, now lasts for half a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Half a minute. This is a big deal, because that is kind of hilarious that you can have two Illidans on the field for half a minute. Two Illidans, two Butchers, two Valeras, two Tracers. If you want to feel really dirty, you can go for those heroes. But yeah, like, having two of those heroes on the field at the same time is going to be really strong. Alternatively, if you're playing on Infernal Shrines, two Arthuses is ludicrously good at finishing off the objective. So that's a thing that you can think about. Evolution Complete, which is of course the level 20 talent, we're going to take it right now. It actually increases the attack damage of the symbiote, not the symbiote, rather the Monstrosity by 100%, which means you now do double damage with every spike. That is pretty big. like considering that at 40 stacks, this dude already like wrecks everything. We're gonna bring out the Fat Man again because he is the biggest dude that I can fight in try mode. And we're gonna see how effective his attack damage is against Asmodan. Let's have a look at the developer comment, which is, for a long time, Abathur has had a unique place in Heroes, being a powerful force at high level play, while having relatively low win rates across the board. These changes are meant to spruce up his talents while streamlining his gameplay and introducing more counter play to the hero. Notice how the monstrosity at 40 stacks with level 20 now destroys the Fat Man Asmodan so bloody quickly. Holy damn! Carapace, particularly with sustained Carapace, created some awkward gameplay where it was more efficient to use Symbiote on cooldown. Exactly. Use the Symbiote, drop the Carapace, jump out of Symbiote, and then rinse and repeat. That was the thing that existed, and it looks like Blizzard didn't like that particular idea. That wasn't really part of the deal. So, the idea now is to stay on one target and, you know, just sustain the Carapace, like, baseline. Great! Awesome! Abathur no longer has to continually remove Carapace to be efficient. Fantastic! In addition, Abathur's locusts are more potent, but they last for a short duration. Yeah, that's a big deal, meaning that Abathur players will be rewarded more for positioning themselves aggressively and punished when they overextend too much. Of course, they probably find themselves more punished than rewarded. I'm not 100% sure. If you do take all of the Locust talents, you will end up with a slight net bonus. I mean, let's have a look. Okay, so before it was just simply 25 seconds. Crap. Before it used to be just simply 25 seconds times 34 damage a second, assuming they attack every second. Alright? This is for comparison's sake. This is actually not a DPS thing. Just hang in there, everyone. So that's 150, right? Now we have 40 times 16. Now let's have a look at all of the talents that exist. We can increase that damage by 1. We can increase that damage by 1. Whoa, times 1.4. Right? We can increase the damage by by 40%. We can then also increase the duration by 50%, so that's, there we go, and that's it, equals. Okay, you will end up with a pretty big net bonus if you take all of the Locust talents, but then that means you have to not use something like Soma Transference if you want to heal them, Spatial Efficiency if you want to do more stabby stab damage, level, what is it, level 4? No, level 1, rather. You get less shields, your nests will probably do less damage, but let's be real, I don't think anyone takes that. Well, no, people do take that, but I don't know. And you have less spikes. If you want to just siege like crazy, you can do that. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Alright, anyway, I think that we'll just call it for this video, without getting too loud, too long rather. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I'll definitely try and get some of these monstrosity highlights into the next one, next big highlight video whenever that decides to show up, whenever I decide to edit that properly. So yeah, in the meantime, I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Just a side note, everyday Tassadar loses his lunch because there's a good to fair chance that Abathur's shield is going to be more useful than Tassadar's shield. Oh dear Christ. That's so sad.